Apple for crying out loud.
No, I don't. I don't. There's some things that I'll probably never use. I think there might be, great, but I just, I guess, of course, I didn't realize you were, don't get mobile me. So that's a good, you're not recommending it, and I'm kind of glad you threw that in there. I don't think I'd ever have a use for it really myself. So
Yeah.
and I think there's another. Well, I also wanted to get into NAS. I kind of threw that up at the last minute for the topics, and it kind of
Yeah.
has to do with networking. And
right.
I know there's some things like for the home network for the average user, they got like Pogo Plug and Tornado Plug and things like that. And then perhaps for if you need something more, I know they got Drobo. I admit I don't know a lot about Drobo.
I like Drobo, but it's really expensive.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard as well.
Netgear makes some nice NAS stuff. I looked at. I was thinking about Synology, I think is what they're called, and they make some NAS. The thing is, I want if with the NAS, I want it to be compatible in both the Mac and PC world. Right, that's like job one. Some of them try to be or are media servers at the same time. That's kind of what Windows Home Server is a glorified NAS. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I heard as well. I think Ron Knights was mentioning, I think some NAS devices, and he was thinking of using just the Windows Home Server for that.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that if it's a NAS device, all it really is just a dedicated storage device. It has some kind of operating system as well, and then you attach it to your network.
That's the base. I mean, the basic, like Windows Home Server is based, at least what's currently available. There's a new version right now under development, but which you can buy today, is based on Windows 2003 server. Okay. So that is the operating system that it runs. And then they really dumbed it way down for like setting up user accounts and file shares and all that sort of stuff. They made it brain dead simple as they could. But then Microsoft added components for like for media extenders, and there's the one I got is from HP. So they have a media collector which goes to your Macs and your PCs and looks for movies and music in specific folders, and then copies it over to the server, and then you can stream that through the server. You can do a lot of media stuff with it now. And that might be very important to some people, but at its heart and soul, a NAS is, centralized file storage for your home or for your business.
Yeah, I'm glad. Now I'm glad Smart Scarecrow put that in there as well. There is a version for now. I don't know if they make it for more than one operating system, which is FreeNAS.
Yeah,
I believe that's a Linux distribution. I believe.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, yeah, have to be dedicated. I think it's just based on Linux. And
Yeah.
I was going to mention that. I couldn't think of the darn name for someone that escaped me, and so I guess it's FreeNAS.
What did Corn Dog just put in the chat room?
But, oh, wait a minute. He was a hit and run logger there. Grandma's on fire. Yeah, okay. You better. Hey, go put her out. Go put her out.
That. Go put Granny out.
Put Granny out and come back, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, I believe FreeNAS also. I mean, it is free, but I think it is a lot more harder to set up. But it gives you more options, and then I think like I'm trying to think, the home server. It's simpler, but perhaps may not give you as many options or something like that.
Well, a home server is all about media. Okay, it's all about streaming your photos, your music. It's got an iTunes. It has an iTunes server. I don't know if that comes with, because I bought mine from HP, so they have the Media Smart Home Server. So they took Windows Home Server and then they added to it. Some of it works brilliantly. Some of it's just awful. Just really awful. The twonky media server. And by the way, a lot of these Linux devices, when they add media server capabilities to them, use was a protocol called DLNA. Okay, and DLNA is, as I said, kind of I think a kind of an open source media streaming technology. I'm not that up on it, but essentially I think that's what it is. Twonky uses DLNA, but they just have horrible problems on it with the media smart home server. It's it'll peg your CPUs at 100% and is just awful. You have to shut it down.
Now, Scarecrow put in there that FreeNAS is a snap to install, and I probably agree. Most Linux distributions are. I meant mostly as configuring for perhaps the average user or a beginner. Something would be a little bit harder, but
let's see. This comment by Wizard72 says home server is garbage. Is server 2003 hacked up? Well, if you consider server 2003 garbage, then that makes it even worse, right? Drive extender sounds nice until you figure out that the idea of redundancy is 2 copies of everything.
Oops, sounds like we're going to get some OS wars in there. No, just kidding.
No, I don't think so. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I happen to think Windows Home Server is not that bad, actually. In fact, I think probably more people than not that are knowledgeable and work with it day in, day out like the product. The problem has been, if you get with Windows drive extender technology, Microsoft recently pulled that from the next version of home server, codenamed Vail. And they pulled it. And it was also supposed to be baked into the new version of Small Business Server. Microsoft pulled that as well. The reason that they're giving officially is probably not the real reason. The official reason is there's no reason for drive extender now because, 2 gigabyte or larger drives are getting cheaper all the time. Where I think the real reason is I think they've had some issues with reliability of drive extender.
Now, just throw it in the chat room. If you catch my next week's show, next Wednesday, I am going to be doing a review on the Tornado plug, which is a NAS type device based on Ubuntu server. And since, I figure I'd throw in NAS because it's, kind of a network device. And I haven't really fully tested the multimedia capabilities. I mostly tested most of the software remotely and things like that. So it should be interesting. Like you said, I think, Bruce, you mentioned something about the Linux NAS type devices having trouble with multimedia or...
No, I didn't. No, I wasn't saying that they have trouble with it. What I said is that HP included Twonky Media Server, which I believe is based on an open source version of DLNA. And they've had trouble in their implementation.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I misquoted you there. And... Oopsie. Yeah, sometimes I put the foot in the mouth. And I think there's a few other topics I wanted to discuss. And we're probably going to close out in the networking topic. Do you have any questions in there for networking, home networking? RAID 10. See, I don't know. Well, I guess, let me see. Okay, yeah, I guess RAID would be implemented in the NAS drives. Now, I think recently, Bruce, you said you just recently got a Canon GL1 for your show, and yeah. I think before, weren't you using? I meant to ask you this before. You used some kind of camcorder before?
Yeah, we have a Canon HV30, a high definition camcorder. Okay, and it uses basically a CMOS to capture all the video. And it's a great camera, and we love it. But we thought, boy, if this thing were to quit working, and we had a close call with it about a year ago. People who've followed me before know my all the good folks at Canon ultimately fixed it, but it took like 2 trips to the factory repair center after the warranty had just run out on the thing when the image stabilizer went bad on it. And Canon, they did right by me. Okay, they stood up and said, you know what, that expensive a camera, look, we need to. They took good care of Cindy and I, and they fixed it. But we thought, boy, if we lose that cam, We don't want to go back to a webcam. We should have a secondary camera. So talking to some other folks, some other streamers, the Canon GL1, that's an old camcorder. Those have been around like 10 years or so, long time. But they're a 3 CCD camera, and they're really, the optics are fantastic in them, and they're other than they don't have like high def and some of the modern stuff. But as far as if you're doing standard definition, they're pretty much still a classic and a great made camera. These things sold for like $2,500 new or something. Now you can pick them up in good shape for $400 to $600 all day long. We're talking 20 times optical zoom, beautiful Canon lenses on it. Just a nice, solid made camera. And so we went ahead and had a little bit extra money, and we said, let's go ahead and invest in one of these. And we did. And I bought it off eBay, got it for $489 delivered. So we got it set up and going the other day.
Now, I didn't realize, that it was actually 10-year-old when it first came out.
They're pretty old. They've been around a long time.
And I'm kind of surprised that it uses 3 CCDs, I guess, for your 3 primary colors.
Yeah.
And now, I don't know if some of the newer cameras now are just starting to do that, or they had some maybe back then. I wasn't really into video that much back then, but.
Well, they kind of fudge things a little bit. Okay. So, they've come a long way, obviously, and what they've done is they've taken technology that starts out in digital cameras, right, especially the higher end models, and been incorporating it into the digital camcorders. Essentially, there's a fine line there anymore between what the heck what is anymore, because now you have DSLR cameras that can record, shoot high definition video, right?
Yeah.
So is it a camera? Is it a camcorder? It's just a video device. And they've come a long way with CMOS chips that are doing a much better job. They've gotten better optics and all that. But you still are basically using one chip to get all the video data. Mm-hmm. One chip. Whereas the Canon, your prosumer and professional cameras, they're all going to use independent CCDs or CMOS. I guess maybe they've changed from CCD to independent CMOS for each primary color. So that makes the color a little bit, clear. There's some advantages to it. We didn't buy the camera necessarily for that. We just wanted the best quality standard definition camera out there that still supported mini DV and all this kind of thing. And this seemed to be the camera that people recommended.
Well, I know before, perhaps this was in the past, but I know like you got the Sony, or I'm sorry, the camcorders. I mean, they could do pictures, and the cameras, and then a lot of them also could take video. But I often noticed that, if you try to use a camcorder to take pictures, it's not quite the same as a regular, digital camera, and vice versa with the now perhaps it's changed, because I noticed with the newer digital camera it actually takes pretty good video.
Well, right, that's what I mean. Video devices just keep getting better and better and better. It was just, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago I shelled out $1,000 for a Sony f828 camera. This is one of those big zoom cameras, has a huge lens on it and all. It's a beautiful camera, 8 megapixel at the time. So very well received. Not a DSLR, but it has such a great range, on the lens, telephoto and all that. It's just a big, beautiful lens. So $1,000 for this camera. Today, I can go out to the Walmart and pick up a camera that essentially does the same thing for around $100, minus the optics. They still don't quite have the optics.
Well, I think now for optics, it's the Carl Zeiss, I think.
Yep, Carl Zeiss. They're like there's probably some that's even better, but they're certainly one of the most well known.
Well, maybe okay. Supposedly they're great quality. Now I know
Canon, Nikon makes some great optics.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's others as well, not just Carl Zeiss.
You can spend way more on lenses than you ever do the camera body.
You know,